which is usually my go-to for rap stuff and a lot of other stuff. But Joe needs like a little more room. I had Joe through a distressor one time because I didn't know what else to do with him. I was so scared. Right. For certain days, we treat him like he's a snare drum, and then other days we treat him like Frank Sinatra.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians.
You might see I'm actually recording into that microphone right now. This is a Bayer Dynamic M500, but it didn't play a process in Tank. I think if I had one with me, it probably would have, all the percussion probably would have run through it if it was up to me. But yeah, I don't know. I fell in love with these weird ribbons. Maybe I'll give a new one to the people out there for this Tape Notes episode. I really like the RE10. I'm not sure if that's a ribbon, but it's a little small mic that has no proximity effect. So when you're recording guitars, you can basically put it right up to the grill cloth. And they're vintage, but they're way under $1,000 and pretty good little tip. But the M500 for acoustics and percussion is still like my number one.
And he's giving me the Joe Rogan fucking cod piece.
It's a gain staging thing. It's great.
And for recording Joe's vocals, do you have a process, or does he have a favored process?
Yeah, we have a definite process. This time we used one of Nigel's 47s, which was new for us because I've watched Joe break capsules and I've watched Joe annihilate gear in the past whenever he goes full volume. And I had to learn from that. And shout out to the techs at Real World who fixed a couple vintage Neumanns for us very fast and very efficiently, because I was nervous that Joe would break Nigel's beautiful mic. And we recorded the whole album on it minus, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 sections of the whole record. And it was a new process for me because I had to learn how to space him. And I've never had that supersonic hearing that a 47 gives you for that long, for weeks of time. I've used them in doses here and there, but I've never been on a 47 every single day. And it taught me a lot about Joe's voice that I hadn't learned recording him for an album before that. But our process is based in speed and a real sensitivity to where his head's at with volume, because there's days where he likes a ton of headphone and there's days where he likes a little bit of headphone. And if you have the headphone up where it was yesterday and today's a quiet day, he might not do the take after that.
Time for a quick Tape It feature highlight. Did you know that while you're recording, you can drop markers? No more scrolling through endless voice notes. Once you've finished, you can go back to the markers to find your best bits. You can also name your markers if there's a specific note you want to add. To find out more, head to the link to download Tape It for free or use the promo code TAPENOTES for 50% off Tape It Pro.
And so with Joe, like, I've developed a template that is my Joe template that is his exact series of like chain that I developed for him years ago that I know works for tracking only. And then I have basically a group that I drop it down into that's kind of like a more proper chain that for playback that sounds a little better. But I have something where I know he's kind of never going to be too loud for anything I'm running him through. And I've tried a lot of different preamps and a lot of different compressors with him now. And for certain days, we treat him like he's a snare drum. And then other days we treat him like Frank Sinatra. But on this record, he did a lot more falsetto and a lot more melodic singing. And so it was kind of really cool to hear different things out of Joe's voice that I haven't heard, even having such a like process with him for years. Like hearing him on that mic so close, being that vulnerable was a new experience and something I have to like take into account whenever I record him from now on, you know, because I never knew he could do that or heard him sound like that before.
He really responded to that mic.
Yeah.
Big time.
Really
we compressed him hard on the way in, right? And we had a lot of top end EQ on there. So it's just, you know, getting all that like presence there. And he really
I think was it a 2A? I think it was a 2A.
1176 was the compressor.
1176.
And then we're using API EQ 560 to just like,
okay, yeah,
12,
because like
12K, just like all the way up basically. Yeah.
Tube Tech is not going to do it for Joe, which is usually my go-to for rap stuff and a lot of other stuff. But Joe needs like a little more room. I had Joe through a distressor one time because I didn't know what else to do with him. I was so scared.
1176, best compressor in the world. You know, I'll just take 10 of those if I can in the studio. That's right.
1176 is the one.
Big fan of the Purple Audio one.
Oh,
to be honest.
MC77.
A big fan of the Purple Audio 77. Huge fan of that.